Welcome to One Odd Yarn. Today we'll be reading The Tailor of Gloucester. Forgive me if sometimes during the story I might say Gloucester. That's the way I've always pronounced it before being corrected, but it is indeed Gloucester, and I will try to do my best. In a time of swords and periwigs and full-skirted coats with flowered lappets, when gentlemen wore ruffles and gold-laced waistcoats of paduasoy and taffeta, there lived a tailor in Gloucester. He sat in the window of a little shop in Westgate Street, cross-legged on a table from morning till dark, and all day long, while the light lasted, he sewed and snippeted, piercing out his satin and pompadour and lute-string. Stuffs had strange names, and were very expensive in the days of the Tailor of Gloucester. But although he sewed fine silk for his neighbours, he himself was very, very poor. The little man in spectacles, with a pinched face, old crooked fingers, and a suit of threadbare clothes. He cut his coats without waste, according to his embroidered cloth. They were very small ends and snippets that lay about upon the table. 2 narrow breadths for naught, except waistcoats for mice, said the tailor. One bitter cold day, near Christmas time, the tailor began to make a coat of cherry-colored corded silk, embroidered with pansies and roses, and cream-colored waistcoat trimmed with gauze and green worsted chenille for the mayor of Gloucester. The tailor worked, and he talked to himself. He measured the silk, and turned it round, and trimmed it into shape with his shears. The table was all littered with cherry-colored snippets. No breadth at all, and cut on the cross. It is no breadth at all. Tippets for the mice, and ribbons for mobs of mice, said the Tailor of Gloucester. When the snowflakes came down against the small leaded window panes and shut out the light, the tailor had done his day's work. All the silk and satin lay cut out upon the table. There were 12 pieces for the coat, and 4 for the waistcoat, and there were pocket flaps and cuffs and buttons all in order. For the lining of the coat there was fine yellow taffeta. For the buttonholes of the waistcoat there was cherry-colored twist. And everything was ready to sew together in the morning, and measured and sufficient, except that there was wanting just one single skein of cherry-colored twist. The tailor came out of his shop at dark, for he did not sleep there at night. He fastened the window and locked the door, and took away the key. No one lived there at night but little brown mice. They run in and out without any keys. For behind the wainscot of all the little houses in Gloucester, there are little mouse staircases and secret trap doors, and the mice run from house to house through those long, narrow passages. They can run all over the town without going into the streets. But the tailor came out of his shop and shuffled home through the snow. He lived quite near, in College Court, next door to College Green. And although it was not a big house, the tailor was so poor he only rented the kitchen. He lived alone with his cat. It was called Simpkin. Now, all day long, the tailor was out at work. Simpkin kept the house to himself. He also was fond of the mice, though he gave them no satin for coats. "Meow," said the cat, when the tailor opened the door. "Meow." The tailor replied, "Simpkin, we shall make our fortune, but I am worn to ravelling. Take this groat, which is our last fourpence, and Simpkin, take a china pipkin, buy a penworth of bread, a penworth of milk, and a penworth of sausages. Oh, and Simpkin, with the last penny of our fourpence, buy me 1 penworth of cherry-coloured silk. But do not lose the last penny of the fourpence, Simpkin, or I am undone, and worn to a threadbare paper, for I have no more twist." Then Simpkin said, "Meow," and took the groat and the pipkin, and set out into the dark. The tailor was very tired, and beginning to be ill. He sat down by the hearth, and talked to himself about that wonderful coat. "I shall make my fortune to be cut bias. The mayor of Gloucester is to be married on Christmas Day in the morning, and he hath ordered a coat, an embroidered waistcoat, to be lined with yellow taffeta, and the taffeta sufficeth. There is no more left over in snippets than will serve to make tippets for mice." And the tailor started, for suddenly, interrupting him from the dresser at the other end of the kitchen, came a number of little noises. Tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap. "Now what can that be?" said the Tailor of Gloucester, jumping up from his chair. The dresser was covered in crockery and pimpkins, with yellow patterns, plates and teacups and mugs. The tailor crossed the kitchen, and stood quite still beside the dresser, listening and peering through his spectacles. Again, from under a teacup, came those funny little noises, tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap-tip. "This is very peculiar," said the Tailor of Gloucester. He lifted the teacup, which was upside down. Out stepped a live lady mouse, and made a curtsy to the tailor. Then she hopped away down the dresser and under the wainscot. The tailor sat down again by the fire, warming his poor cold hands and mumbling to himself, "The wainscot is cut out of peach-coloured satin, tambour stitch and rosebuds in beautiful floss silk. Why was I wise to entrust my last fourpence to Simpkin? Oh, 21 buttonholes of cherry-coloured twist." But all at once from the dresser there came other little noises. Tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap-tip. "This is passing extraordinary," said the Tailor of Gloucester, and turned over another teacup, which was upside down. Out stepped a little gentleman mouse. He made a bow to the tailor, and then, from all over the dresser, came a chorus of tappings, all sounding together, answering one another, like watch beetles in an old worm-eaten window shutter. Tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap-tip, tip-tap-tip. And out from under teacups and from under bowls and basins stepped other and more little mice, who hopped away down off the dresser and under the wainscot. The tailor sat down close to the fire, lamenting, 21 buttonholes of cherry-coloured silk, to be finished by noon on Saturday, and this is Tuesday evening. Was it right to let those mice loose? Undoubtedly the property of Simpkin. Alack, I am undone, for I have no more twist." The little mice came out again, listening to the tailor. They took notice of the pattern of that wonderful coat. They whispered to one another about the taffeta lining, and about the little mouse tippets. And then, all at once, they ran away, together, down the passage behind the wainscot, squeaking and calling to one another, as they ran from house to house, and not one mouse was left in the tailor's kitchen when Simpkin came back with that pipkin of milk. Simpkin opened the door and bounced in with an angry "Growl," like a cat that is vexed, for he hated the snow, and there was snow in his ears, and snow in his collar, and snow at the back of his neck. He put down the loaf of sausages upon the dresser and sniffed. "Simpkin," said the tailor, "where's my twist?" But Simpkin set down the pipkin of milk upon the dresser and looked suspiciously at the teacups. He wanted his supper of little fat mouse. "Simpkin," said the tailor, "where's my twist?" But Simpkin hid a little parcel privately in the teapot, and spit and growled at the tailor, and if Simpkin had been able to talk, he would have asked, "Where's my mouse?" "Alack, I'm done," said the Tailor of Gloucester, and went sadly to bed. All that night long, Simpkin hunted and searched through the kitchen, peeping into cupboards, under wainscots, and into the teapot where he had hidden that twist, but still he found never a mouse. Whenever the tailor muttered and talked in his sleep, Simpkin said, "Meow, gosh," and made strange, horrid noises as cats do at night. For the poor old tailor was very ill with fever, and tossing and turning in his four-post bed, and still in his dreams he mumbled, "No more twist, no more twist." All that day he was ill, and the next day, and the next. And what should become of the cherry-coloured coat in the tailor's shop in Westgate Street? The embroidered silk and satin lay cut out upon the table, and 21 buttonholes. Who should have come to sew them when the window was barred and the door fast locked? But that doesn't hinder little brown mice. They run in and out without any keys through all the old houses in Gloucester. Out of doors, the market folk went trundling through the snow to buy their geese and turkeys and bake their Christmas pies. But there would be no Christmas dinner for Simpkin, the poor old Tailor of Gloucester. The tailor lay ill for 3 days and nights, and then it was Christmas Eve, and very late at night. The moon climbed over the rooftops and chimneys, and looked down over the gateway into College Court. There were no lights in the windows, nor any sounds in the houses, and the city of Gloucester was fast asleep under the snow. And still Simpkin wanted his mice, and he mewed as he stood beside the four-post bed. But it is in the old story that all the beasts can talk in the night between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in the morning, though there are very few folk that can hear them or know what it is that they say. When the cathedral clock struck 12, there was an answer, like an echo of chimes, and Simpkin heard it, and came out of the tailor's door, and wandered about the snow. From all of the roofs and gables and old wooden houses in Gloucester came 1,000 merry voices singing the old Christmas rhymes, all the old songs that ever I heard of, and some I don't know, like the Whittington's bells. First and loudest the cocks cried out, "Dame, get up and bake your pies." "Oh, dilly, dilly, dilly," sighed Simpkin. And now, in a garret, there were lights and sounds of dancing, and cats came from over the way. "Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cat's in Gloucester, except me," said Simpkin. Under the wooden eaves, the starlings and sparrows sang of Christmas pies, and the jackdaws woke up in the cathedral tower, and although it was the middle of the night, the throstles and robins sang. The air was quite full of little twittering tunes. But it was all rather provoking to poor hungry Simpkin. Particularly he was vexed with some little shrill voices from behind a wooden lattice. I think they were bats, because they always have very small voices, especially in the black frost. When they talk in their sleep, like the Tailor of Gloucester. They said something mysterious that sounded like, "Buzz, quoth the blue fly, hum, quoth the bee. Buzz and hum, they cry, and so do we." And Simpkin went away, shaking his ears, as if he had a bee in his bonnet. From the tailor's shop in Westgate came a glow of light, and when Simpkin crept up to peep into the window, it was full of candles. There was snippeting of scissors and snapping of thread, and little mouse voices sang loudly and gaily. 24 tailors went to catch a snail. The best man among them durst not touch her tail. She put out her horns like a little Clio cow. Run, tailor, run, or she'll have you all in now. Then, without a pause, the little mouse voices went on again. Sieve my lady's oatmeal, grind my lady's flour, put it in a chestnut, let it stand an hour. Meow, meow, interrupted Simpkin, as he scratched at the door, but the key was under the tailor's pillow. He could not get in. The little mice only laughed and tried another tune. 3 little mice sat down to spin. Pussy passed by and peeped in. Where are you at, my little fine men, making coats for gentlemen? Shall I come in and cut off your threads? Oh no, Miss Pussy, you'll bite off our heads. Meow, meow, cried Simpkin. Hey, diddle dinkety, answered the little mice. Hey, diddle dinkety, poppity pet, the merchants of London wear scarlet, silk in the coat and gold in the hem, so merrily march the merchant men. They clicked their thimbles to mark the time, but none of the songs pleased Simpkin, and he sniffed and mewed at the door of the shop. And then I bought a pimpkin, a popkin, a slimpkin, a slopkin, and for 1 farthing upon the kitchen dresser, added the rude little mice. Mew, scratch, scratch, scuffled Simpkin at the window-sill, while the little mice inside sprang to their feet and all began to shout at once in little twittering voices, No more twist! No more twist! And they barred up the window shutters and shut Simpkin out. But still, through the nicks of the shutters, he could still hear the click of thimbles and mouse singing voices. No more twist! No more twist! Simpkin came away from the shop and went home, considering his mind. He found the poor old tailor, without fever, sleeping peacefully. Then Simpkin went on tiptoe and took a little parcel of silk out of the teapot and looked at it in the moonlight. He felt quite ashamed of his badness, compared with those good little mice. When the tailor awoke in the morning, the first thing he saw upon his patchwork quilt was a skein of cherry-coloured twist, and beside his bed stood the repentant Simpkin. Alack, I am worn to ravelling, said the Tailor of Gloucester, "but I have my twist." The sun was shining on the snow when the tailor got up and dressed, and came out into the street with Simpkin running before him. The starlings whistled in the chimney stacks, and the thortles and robins sang, but they sang in their own little voices, not the words they had sung in the night. "Alack," said the tailor, "I have my twist, but no more strength nor time than will serve me to make one single buttonhole for this Christmas day in the morning. The mayor of Gloucester shall be married by noon, and where is my cherry-coloured coat?" He unlocked the door to the little shop in Westgate Street, and Simpkin ran in like a cat that expects something. But there was no one there, not even one little brown mouse. The boards were swept clean. The little ends of thread and the silk snippets were all tidied away and gone from the floor. But upon the table, oh joy, the tailor gave a shout. There, where he had left plain cuttings of silk, there lay the most beautiful coat and embroidered satin waistcoat that ever were worn by a mayor of Gloucester. There were roses and pansies upon the facing of the coat, and the waistcoat was worked with poppies and cornflowers. Everything was finished except just one cherry-coloured buttonhole, and where that buttonhole was wanting, there was pinned a scrap of paper with these words in teeny-weeny little writing: "No more twist." And from then began the luck of the Tailor of Gloucester. He grew quite stout, and he grew quite rich. He made the most wonderful waistcoats for all the rich merchants of Gloucester, and for all the fine gentlemen of the country round. Never were seen such ruffles, such embroidered cuffs, such lappets. But his buttonholes were the greatest triumph of all. The stitches of those buttonholes were so neat, so neat. I wonder how they could be stitched by an old man in spectacles, with crooked fingers and a tailor's thimble. The stitches of those buttonholes were so small, so small. They looked as if they had been made by little mice. The end. I hope you enjoyed our tale. If you want to follow along, or you want to see the pretty pictures that come with it, you can go to the Gutenberg project. I'll put a link in the description below. This is not a sponsored video. I like the project. They accumulate books from that are in the public domain, and you can read them free of charge. Download them. Enjoy. I hope to see you next time.